Well, hello again, hello again, hello again. All right, all right, all right. It is Thursday, the 24th of March of this wonderful so far year of 2022. Okay, enough of that. Let's play the play in music. Here goes. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not, repeat, not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, the intro music and the blathering in the background of the music has said it, but I'll repeat it again. The views of the Midnight Skeptic, while being the correct views, are not necessarily the views of Petaluma Community Access or any of its affiliates, meaning this station or any of the TV stations that KPCA or that Petaluma Community Access uses to televise the city council meetings of various small towns around this area and planning commissions and all of that stuff. Okay. In these times, I find it more and more difficult to be Mr. Good News McSmileyface, but I'll try to find news that will make you smile a bit. I hope. Stan, if you're listening, I really am trying to find more good news here. Stan is one of the guys that communicated to the Midnight Skeptic that that's what I should do. So I am trying to do it. Okay, so send all hate mail, death threats, and also suggestions for topics that you'd like me to rant about to the Midnight Skeptic at gmail.com. Okay, real quick on the shout outs. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to get to, so I'm going to try to run through this real quick. Okay, my international listeners, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Ireland, Germany, and the Czech Republic. And I hope the listeners in the Czech Republic will go out of your way to help those poor Ukrainian refugees. And this is right in the middle of wintertime, or I mean, it's coming on springtime, but it's still cold over there. So warm them up, feed them up, give them water, give them whatever you can. Okay. International. Okay, East Coast, Geraldine Goldfinger on Long Island, and then down in Florida, Amelia Beamer and Nelson and Alice Slidell. In Arkansas, Shannon Reed. Shannon, you're probably out here now because I have an appointment with you on Sunday for you know what. Okay, if that still doesn't work, let me know at the Midnight Skeptic at gmail.com. Okay. Arizona, my brother Brandon and his wife Mina and their daughter Andrea, who's a nurse there. Take care of yourself. COVID has not gone away yet. She's a nurse there. Okay. And down in Patagonia, Arizona, Karina Hilliard, the Snake Lady. In LA, Jackie and Wayne Kolar. And Pacifica, Stan and Kathy Gustafson. And up in Sebastopol, we're coming up the coast, to Rich and Kathy Berger. And the Sonora crowd, Bob and Sandy Fisher, Brad and Martha. Martha, who is a nurse up there. Again, take care of yourself. Wear your PPE and your mask if they still require it there. They probably do. Darrell, Judy, Leonidas, Kathy Francis, Mexico City, Rosie, And locally, Nariman we haven't gotten that glass of wine yet, but we're going to soon, I hope. Okay, Tom and Nancy throw Kevin and Lori up in Kotati. And Tim Conrad here in Petaluma, great photographer. And over in Sacramento, Mickey Huff, the godfather of Project Censored. The Project Censored 2022 book should be out by now, and I recommend all my listeners go out and buy a copy of this. This is all the news that either didn't get covered or got wrongly covered by the mainstream media. Okay, and then Dave and Rosita Takach in Sacramento. Okay, good news. As I write and record this, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's restraint and calm and professionalism during the frankly embarrassing Senate judicial hearings is finally over. Okay, I'm not sure which day it is, but the whole Senate is going to vote to confirm or not. I expect a 50-50 split, maybe 51-4 or 52-4 if a couple of responsible Republicans vote to confirm this highly qualified lady to be on the Supreme Court. But I'm not holding my breath for that. It may be 50-50 with Kamala Harris as the presiding officer of the Senate casting the tie-breaking vote. We'll see what happens. I'm going to have a little bit more to say about that as the show goes on. Okay, embarrassing. The Republicans that were questioning her during these hearings, I'm just frankly embarrassed that those creeps are politicians that we, not me, but somebody, like in Texas and, I don't want to go into what states they're from, but Ted Cruz, oh God. It's embarrassing to have this go out to the world so that other countries can see these Republican senators in action. It's frankly really embarrassing. Okay, but Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's, her professionalism and restraint is in quite a stark contrast to the I Like Beer crybaby Brett Kavanaugh's performance. That was embarrassing. This essentially a frat boy is now on our Supreme Court. Okay, Jim Jordan from Ohio, he's in the House of Representatives. He tweeted, never forget. Well, okay, there were complaints about the Republican questioning, and then this is Jim Jordan's retort. Never forget what Democrats did to Brett Kavanaugh. Well, nobody should be forgetting what the crybaby beer guy did to Christine Blasey Ford. Okay. And all right, so the hearing, embarrassed by these Republicans. Okay, now on my Facebook page that I go to announce these upcoming shows and what I'm going to be talking or ranting about, I mentioned that there were some corrections and brain freezes left over from last week's show. Well, here's a correction. When I talked about the origin of the term woke, I mentioned that it comes from an interview that the black folk singer Leadbelly said after he performed a new song that he had written. And the name of the song, I erroneously said that it was Jonesboro Boys. Okay, that was wrong. Occasionally, the Midnight Skeptic will make a mistake, and I will own up to it if I do. Okay, the correct title of the song is The Scottsboro Boys. And he visited them in the prison that they were in and talked to them. And after all that, he wrote a song about it. And then Leadbelly was being interviewed by a reporter recently. The song actually came out in 1938, and he was being interviewed about what advice he would give to black boys that were traveling around down in the South. Scottsboro is in Arkansas, but I think that he meant Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama. And he said, if you black boys are going down that way, you'd best stay woke. And what he meant by that was, don't do or say anything that will draw undue attention to yourselves, especially from the local sheriffs. So that's what he meant by that, and that's what the Scottsboro Boys song was all about. Okay, and then I couldn't remember, because of a brain freeze, the name of the orange sociopathic bloat bag's advisor in the White House, and it wasn't in any official position. And this guy, okay, the name I was trying to remember was Steve Bannon. And I mentioned that he always looks like a hobo that just crawled out from underneath a railroad trestle in Barstow, California, which he does. And that really should be neither here nor there, but in his case, he's a creep. But he is under indictment for refusing to testify before the January 6th investigation commission in the House of Representatives. And he defied a subpoena by just not showing up. So he's under indictment from the Department of Justice. And he is also one of the scammers that started this We Build the Wall money grabbing group. And it's MAGA heads, stupid ass MAGA heads that contributed money to this thing to finish the orange sociopathic bloat bag's wall. Okay, well, of course it never got built, and they weren't going to build it anyway. And Steve Bannon just spent a lot of the money on himself. He eventually got arrested for this scam, and the people that arrested him were postal security. I forget what they're called, but they're postal law enforcement officers. There is a policing and investigating arm of the post office. Well, they went out to this Chinese-owned mega yacht where Steve Bannon was hanging out or hiding or whatever you want to call it, and arrested him out there and brought him back. Okay. He's now roaming around and doing his podcast. But hopefully the Department of Justice will put him on trial for refusing a subpoena. Okay, but that's another one of the many things I'm not holding my breath for. The way our system of justice works in this country, it's slower than frozen molasses. Okay, the other guy whose name I was trying to remember, that got CRT, critical race theory, started as a Republican pejorative that they use against any mention of racial injustice. Okay, it was, and I'm gonna do a bit more on Christopher Rufo, who was a Republican operative and part of some minor think tank up in Seattle for a while. But I'm going to go into him at some future show. Okay, so that was the correction, and two illuminations about brain freezes that I had. So I took care of that part of the show. Okay. Whew. Okay, Republican Senator Mike Braun, Braun, of Indiana, was asked by a reporter about, quote unquote, judicial activism, referring to the Supreme Court nominee who was being put through the ringer at the Senate Judicial Committee. Okay. The right-wing, orange bloat bag, sociopathic cultist senator was asked by this reporter, quote, "You would be okay with the Supreme Court leaving the issue of interracial marriage to the states? Would you?" Okay, there's no ambiguity in that question. There's no gotcha part to it. It's very straightforward. Okay, the question literally means, do you think the court should have ruled in favor of interracial marriage or not? Okay, Senator Braun immediately answered, "Yes, I think that's something that if you're not wanting the Supreme Court to weigh in on issues like that, you are not going to be able to, have your cake and eat it too." Those are his exact words. Okay. Senator Braun, if you're listening to my broadcast, Loving versus Virginia was decided by the Supreme Court to go into effect nationwide in 1967. Okay. If Republicans had their way, Obergefell would be reversed, and which is the case that allowed same-sex marriage all across the nation. It wasn't up to states whether they outlawed it or not, and Republican-controlled states did outlaw it. So anyway, 1967 was Loving versus Virginia, and if Republicans gain an inordinate amount of power in this country, look for a lot of these progressive reforms to be done away with. Obergefell being one of them, Roe v. Wade being another one. Republicans would like same-sex marriage to be done away with. They would like abortion to be done away with. They would like contraceptives to be done away with. And there are, I am quite sure, including this Senator Mike Braun, they would like to do away with interracial marriage being okayed across the country so that individual states can make their individual state laws banning interracial marriage. That's really what they want. A Republican dystopia would settle down upon this country if we don't just get rid of all Republicans. So this November 2022, go out and vote against all Republicans. Don't just vote, become an activist in favor of Democrats. Okay. Here's I don't have a glass of coffee or a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or anything with me now, so I'm going to have to Just tough it through my ever-drawing voice here. Okay, school censorship update. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves signed a bill Monday, this was a week ago Monday, 3/14, to limit how race can be discussed in the classrooms, and it became law immediately. On a video on social media, Tate Reeves whined that, quote, "In no way, in no shape, and in no form, this bill prohibits the teaching of history." Well, that's exactly what it does. The short title of Senate Bill, Mississippi Senate Bill 2113, says it would prohibit the big Republican bugaboo, critical race theory. But the bill doesn't mention or define it. Most supporters, and the article I read that talked about this, they just said most supporters. I'm not sure whether they meant Republican legislators or who exactly they meant. Just conservatives and MAGA-head creeps in general. Most supporters also said they cannot define it. Okay, well, this is Mississippi. They can't define most things. Okay, most supporters also said they cannot define it. Most supporters of the bill said they cannot define it. The law. Okay, and this is what it says. No school, community college, or university. Can you believe that? That they have universities in Mississippi? I'm joking, of course, but not much. Okay. No school, community college, or university can teach that any sex, race, ethnicity, religion is inherently inferior or superior to any other. Well, nobody teaches that. And critical race theory isn't that anyway. Oh, boy. Is there any Republican that has ever gone past just getting their Mickey Mouse BA or BS degree from a college and then gone on to grad school or law school or grad school in economics that actually just studied critical race theory? I really, really doubt it. Okay. Okay, back to the Judge Jackson thing for just a moment. Here's a note to journalists and reporters and magazine and newspaper editors. The Republicans' attacks on Judge Jackson are not, quote unquote, racially charged. Okay, they are racist. Pure and simple. Please report these attacks as such. Don't try to water down how racist the Republicans are by saying, well, their quotes and their questions might be racially motivated or racially charged. Just say racist. All right. Okay, voter fraud alert. The cult of the orange sociopathic bloat bag can begin to investigate voter fraud by investigating, are you ready for this? Mark Meadows' wife. Mark Meadows is the orange sociopathic bloat bag's former White House chief of staff, who is helping spread the big lie. Okay, his wife, Debbie, purportedly filed 2 and possibly 3 false voter forms in the 2020 presidential election. North Carolina is also investigating Mark Meadows himself for voter fraud. He apparently used a rural mobile home to register to vote. He's never lived there. The North Carolina State Board of Elections is investigating after Macon County District Attorney Ashley Welch, a former Meadows ally, referred the case to the state for, quote unquote, potential prosecution. Debbie Meadows, who also claimed that same address, dropped off an absentee ballot request for her husband, which itself is questionably legal in North Carolina. To be valid, a person has to live for 30 days at the claimed address. The Meadowses, husband and wife, also listed a post office box in a town about 70 miles away as their mailing address. In March 2020, they sold their home in North Carolina and moved to a condo in Northern Virginia, where they both also registered to vote. Okay. Okay, well, anyway, it's in the process of being investigated. So most of these actual instances of voter fraud, one, were kind of accidental, which I believe Mark Meadows' situation is. Okay, and two, they were committed by Republicans. And I've gone into this before. There was a couple of guys in the state of Pennsylvania that John Fetterman, the vice governor, not the governor, but the vice governor, the assistant governor, I forget what the title is. I'm having another brain freeze. But anyway, he and his aides caught them, these guys that were trying to cast more than one ballot. And he claimed part of the reward money that Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton offered for evidence of voter fraud. Well, these guys were Republicans. Okay, just most of the individual incidents that people were arrested and tried and convicted for voter fraud were Republicans. There has been no massive voter frauds that would have affected the loss of the orange sociopathic bloat bag in the last 2020 election. Okay, enough of the voter fraud thing. Okay, racist Tucker the Creep, and I'm only going to be referring to him as that from now on, as I said in my last show. You know who I mean, Tucker the Creep. He continues to ask for Ketanji Brown Jackson's LSAT score. Well, what's the LSAT? It stands for Law School Aptitude Test. He never asks for Neil Gorsuch's LSAT score or the beer guy Crybaby's LSAT score. Of course, these two guys are white. Is it any wonder that Tucker the Creep is insisting that Ketanji Brown Jackson's LSAT scores be revealed? But as I said on last week's show, the LSAT scores don't matter a whit. They're just, you take this test, and it's in 3 or 4 parts, at least it was. When I took the LSAT, vocabulary and sentence construction, I think, if I remember correctly, there was a small section on basic math, and then there was reading a paragraph, and then a series of questions as to what you can discern about the paragraph. Okay, well, you take this. Well, I took it because back in that day in my earlier life, back in the 70s, oh boy, am I aging myself. I had it in my mind that maybe I'd like to go to law school. Okay, well, I scored high enough to get into some law schools, certainly not the best of them, not Stanford and not Hastings and, what's another one? That's all I can remember, but smaller, more localized law schools I could have gone to, but common sense prevailed, and I didn't go, but I had the LSAT scores sent to all these places. Okay. I am kind of riffing on that, but that's another evidence of the cult of the orange sociopathic bloat bag is a racist cult. Okay, in addition to that, they're homophobic, they're transphobic, and xenophobic. They're a cult of anger and fear about all of these things. And that's what binds them together in these rallies that are held by the orange sociopathic bloat bag, with their little red MAGA hats. God, what creeps. Okay, onward. Time check. All right, got plenty of time. Okay, I ran across this Twitter video, and I got to describe it to you, and I would share it on my timeline if I could, but I don't know how to do this. So I'll describe this to you. The girl's name is Tatiana, and judging by how she looks on the Twitter video, she's maybe in her mid-30s, maybe even younger than that. But she is a former journalist, and in 2014, she ran for the Ukrainian parliament, and she won. So she was a representative in the Ukrainian parliament. Okay, but now, since Russia invaded roughly about a month ago, she's now a member of an anti-tank brigade for the Ukrainian army. And she describes on this video, and I'm not quite sure who's actually taking this video. The guy I think did it is Ron Filipkowski, and I'll go into a little bit about who he is a little bit later, but I would encourage all of my viewers and listeners out there to check this out. And it's not YouTube, it's a Twitter video. Anyway, okay, she's a member of an anti-tank brigade for the Ukrainian army, and she describes how she destroys Russian tanks as an anti-tank guided missile operator. The Twitter video shows her lying down on kind of a pad of some sort, and it's more than just a laptop. It's a screen, and there's a little bit of Arabic writing on the top. I mean, I guess it describes who made this electronic thing. The Ukrainian army has gotten a lot of drones and other electronic equipment from Turkey. Well, good for them. But so I don't know who made this anti-tank guided missile system. But anyway, she's using it, and she's got a keyboard right in front of her. And The Twitter video shows her lying down, studying her computer screen and she's in a field of bushes and weeds and things. And she directs the anti-tank missiles from there, from her laptop. I don't know what else to call it. With much success. She and her unit are stationed just north of Kyiv. I wish I could share this video from Ron Filipkowski's, and I'll spell his name here. It's capital F I L I P, Philip, Kowski. Now, it's his Twitter feed. Okay, but I don't know how to share this with my viewers and listeners, but try to get on his Twitter feed. Ron is a former, I emphasize this, former Republican from Florida, and he's a defense attorney and a former Marine. I would urge all of you to follow him on Twitter, but especially try to dredge up this video. The girl's name is Tatiana, and I don't know her last name. They don't give it on the Twitter feed. Capital Tatiana, and she's in military fatigues and a military head cap also, and she's talking to the person who's doing this Twitter feed. But anyway, very interesting, and she describes how she directs the missiles to blow up Russian tanks. Okay, all right, enough of that. More good news. Stan, are you listening to all this good news? Okay. Senator Ted, the vomit inducer Cruz, going off on the book Anti-Racist Baby by Ibram X. Kendi. Okay, now he really went off on this book while he was, putting Ketanji Brown Jackson through this Republican Judicial Committee torture. Anyway, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is a member of a private school board in, I think it's called Georgetown Prep, I think. And anyway, so one of the books that's available or assigned, I'm not sure which, in this school is this book, Anti-Racist Baby by Ibram X. Kendi. And I think he wrote a bigger book called How to Be an Anti-Racist, or How Not to Be a Racist. I'm not sure of the book title, but this is a small book, and it looked to me like it was a children's book. But anyway, it may not be. It may be a children's book aimed at adults or their parents or something. But anyway, Senator Ted the Vomit Inducer Cruz really went off on this. And the good news part of this is that this book, Anti-Racist Baby, is now moved into the realm of bestseller status. Shouldn't this be a lesson to all stupid-assed Republican conservative MAGA heads that banning books only helps the sale of these books? They're too stupid to realize this. Okay, I'm off my notes again, as usual. Okay. Okay, I wish all of the Republican cults' hate-mongering would backfire just like this book did. Other books that Republicans have tried to ban are now selling very briskly. Okay, and here's a couple of examples. Like Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. banned. We don't want our kids reading that. And Maya Kobabe's Genderqueer, banned in every Republican-controlled school district, mostly on the East Coast and in the South. I've talked a number of shows ago about Maya Kobabe. She's a local girl. She's 31 now, but she went to Petaluma High School, and this is a graphic novel about her growing up in rural Petaluma with very understanding parents and her trials and tribulations of going to school around here, which is tough enough for any teenager, but especially one who has some conflicts about her sexual identity or gender identity. All right, anyway, okay, and then another book that's been banned all over the place is Heavy, Heavy, by Kisa Laymon, Laymon. All of these books, and I haven't listed them all, but there's more. All of these books have seen their sales skyrocket because of two things. Okay, there's actual progressive liberals that have just not read these books yet. And then there's people that I would say are middle of the roaders. They're not liberal or conservative. They're just people. They're curious about what all the hubbub is about. That's how I came to buy a copy of Genderqueer. And, what is all this Republican fear and anger all about? Okay, well, I read it. And out of about 340 pages, there was exactly one page of two people in sexual contact. Let's put it that way. Okay. All right, enough of that. Republicans, God. If this country would be such a great country if we just didn't have Republicans. And I'm talking about politicians and most of their ignorant Southern Baptist base. All right, enough. Okay, yet more good news. President Joe Biden has announced that he will name Chef Jose Andres, a man known for his generous charity and activism, to replace Dr. Oz as the co-chair of the Presidential Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Now, I guess Jose Andres is a restaurant owner, or he might be a chef on a TV show. I don't really know. I only know him that when natural disasters strike, he's right there cooking up free meals, free good meals to those people who are affected. And he may have, although I don't know for sure, he may have had something to do with feeding Ukrainian refugees. But anyway, Dr. Oz, oh, jeez. He's a MAGA head snake oil salesman that unfortunately Oprah Winfrey has foisted off on an unsuspecting world. And by the way, he's running for Senate in Pennsylvania, although he lives in New Jersey. I don't know how this happened, but he is. John Fetterman is running for the Democratic ticket for the Senate. So I am a strong supporter of John Fetterman. I even sent in $5 to his campaign, and I don't do that usually. because, well, there's just too many good people running for offices that are Democrats, and I just can't send even $5 to every one of them. But anyway, uh, I'm not sure yet that Dr. Oz, I think his first name is Mehmet Oz. I think he's Turkish. But anyway, he's running for Senate. They haven't had the primary yet. Time check. Okay. They haven't had the primary yet in Pennsylvania. So I don't know if Dr. Oz is even going to be the Republican nominee. Okay. Onward. I wish I had something to drink here. My throat is getting a bit on the dry side. Okay, yet even more good news. Okay. I posted this on my Facebook page. Okay, and so please watch it. Okay, please watch on YouTube Trey Crowder. His first name is Trae, last name Crowder, Crowder. He's a comedian, and it's his take on the Ketanji Brown Jackson Senate hearing that just ended. It ended yesterday, and I don't think they're doing anything today. They might take a full Senate vote tomorrow. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, he's better known as the liberal redneck, and his YouTube rant has gone viral. Okay. There is something so wonderfully refreshing about hearing a white, Southern accented, Southern sensible, and Southern cultured guy make every single good point about the hearing. He's also very funny about this. His take on Ketanji Brown Jackson's hearing is art. It's social commentary, it's comedy, and scholarship. He knows what he's talking about, which is one hell of a tough mix. Okay, now to get to it, and I tried this out to see if I could just get to it to watch it. Okay, type in YouTube, liberal redneck, Ketanji Brown Jackson's SCOTUS, SCOTUS, confirmation. Okay, that'll get you there if you want to watch this. Or if you want to just go to my Facebook page, click on it. And this YouTube that I'm doing right now, when I get done with it, it will be right above the Trey Crowder's take on this. So you can get to see them both if you've a mind to. Okay. Whew. Horrible Christian news. The Child Evangelism Fellowship. And these are the creeps that runs the Good News Club. Schoolyard infiltration campaign. They're handing out Ukrainian language books to Ukrainian children entitled "Do You Wonder Why?" Answers to Tough Questions. They are proselytizing kids, Ukrainian kids, trying to convert them to fundamentalist Christianity. The books say God knows everything and never does anything bad. Bad things all started when Adam and Eve ignored God and ruined, quote unquote, God's perfect creation. Natural disasters, earthquakes, and even wars resulted from Adam and Eve's original sin of ignoring God. That is sickening. Fundamentalist, evangelical Christians, to me, are sickening. And I know some good Christians. I really do. I mean, I don't agree with their theology, but they are good people and would never take part in something like this, taking advantage of a horrible war of Russia's invasion of Ukraine to try to convert little kids to your way of thinking. That is just unconscionable. Well, fundamentalist evangelical Christians are unconscionable. They don't have a conscience. Okay. Where are we? Okay. March 31st, which is this next Thursday. No, this is the 24th. Okay, next Thursday, the 31st, is International Transgender Day of Visibility. And I am a member, although I'm not a participating member, of an organization that was started here in Petaluma by a lady named Renee Ho, H-O, called Amor para Todos. I think I mentioned this on a show, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 shows ago. And that is Spanish for love for all. Well, right there, that eliminates all Republican participation. Okay. And this this is a printout. I'm holding it up for my YouTube viewers, but I'm going to read. This is teaching points for grades in elementary school. Now, I'm not sure whether that's K through 8 or K through 6 or what it is, but here's the teaching points. To teach students what transgender is. Well, Republicans would never go for that. To teach what International Transgender Day of Visibility is. Well, I'm telling you that. So, to prove the misconceptions wrong that transgender people are so different than other cisgender people. You know, I'm cisgender. Okay, that just means my inner thought identity of who I am coincides with my maleness when I was born. You know, I have a penis. I am not homosexual. I enjoy women and love women. I have loved women. They didn't always love me back, but that's a whole nother story. Okay, to teach that transgender people are people like others and should always be treated with the same respect and care. At the end of the day, it does not matter what gender people are. Transgender and all LGBTQIA+ people should be treated with the same respect and have the same rights as other people do. Highlight and make visible transgender public figures in the media and in our communities. Now, these are the teaching points for grammar school teachers about transgenders. Okay. Now, the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida specifies that LGBTQ subjects should not be discussed or instructed in K through 3rd grades in grammar school. Okay, well, discussed or instructed. No teacher instructs their kids in their K through 3 grades about such subjects, but it comes up in the natural living life. And suppose a teacher in Florida, K through 3, is a gay man, for instance, and has a picture of his husband or partner or whatever he calls him on his desk. Well, a kid might ask, well, who is this Mr. Brown? And he will say, well, he's my husband. Or if a second grade girl announces to the class just in passing that I have 2 mommies, well, it's going to come up that there needs to be an explanation for that or a short discussion of it. No teacher is going to discuss sexuality at that age of any kind. Well, little Lucy, this is where the boy's penis goes, and you get really, really, really close, and the boy ejaculates, and the spermie swims up into the mommy and fertilizes her egg. That's not going to happen, although that is the Republicans' worst nightmare, is just to be honest with their kids. And I have a lot of faith in kids to not be traumatized by any honest knowledge. Okay, I got to play the out music. I'm riffing now. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. Okay, it's 58 minutes exactly. This is when KPCA LP 103.3 FM is going to cut me off, and but I'm still here on YouTube for just a minute or two to let you know that I'm going to record this all again next week. I'm going to try to get it up on YouTube tonight for your enjoyment. And this show on KPCA LP will be broadcast on the 27th at 9 p.m., the usual time, midnight on the East Coast. So until next week, so long. Think logically, think rationally, and like I said on the recorded out music, please pet your cats. It really does eliminate a lot of stress in your life. And something that the Dalai Lama said, choose to be optimistic. It feels better. I totally agree. So until next week, take care. Oops. Damn it. Hit the wrong key.